This is Charlie Parker introducing the jazz language we know today. The jazz language we know today is full syncopation and rhythmic displacement.
And then we hit the top of the form together, you see.
And many musicians, among others Chick Corea, has helped develop the new modern jazz language, expanding the rhythmic freedom, indeed using syncopation and rhythmic displacement. And the way Chick Corea exemplifies this is amazing. Let's check this out. Do you have problems with your timing? Is it difficult to get the rhythm? And maybe it's easier for you to just play regular stuff. Let's start slow and build this up. We know that jazz is all about rhythm, and to get the bebop sound and the more modern jazz sound we need to dig into syncopation. As opposed to notes on the beats, syncopation are the notes off the beats. And when you listen to this Charlie Parker tune Billy's Bounce, you hear the syncopation all the time. When we're digging into this, the first thing we need to learn is learn to play the offbeats. Try training this small phrase. The offbeats are played at the end of each sentence and they are short. To understand syncopation and get this sound, you really need to get the offbeats into your sound. And I'll show you how to do that. Why not use the sound of the masters because they got it right? Let's use Billy's Bounce, the syncopation of Charlie Parker. I grab the rhythm of this Charlie Parker line. And we do exactly as when we're stealing somebody's line. We're just borrowing the rhythm this time. I add my own tones to it and put it into the blues form. And now I just added a rhythm to all the lines in the blues. And that's how I practice adding the notes. In the lesson manual PDF on Patreon, I've added lots of etudes and lots of examples on how you can add this rhythm into a blues form. And of course I have filled out all the notes for you too. Playing these examples and playing these etudes will get you fluent in playing the 8th note syncopation in any musical setting. Get it on Patreon, the download link is in the description. We've talked a little bit about the offbeats, but we have also talked about syncopation. The syncopation is actually when you're moving towards the next beat. So let's get a little closer to the term syncopation. We have two kinds of syncopation. We have the offbeat syncopation where you're bouncing off the beats, what we talked about. All the tones in this phrase are offbeat syncopations, playing off the beats, bouncing off beats. And you should really train these to get them into your playing. When you train the syncopation off beats, train them also when playing the scales. Get them into your practice routine when you're practicing technique. The second kind of syncopation, I call it playing into the beat. It's not really right, but something like that. This kind of syncopation anticipates the beats or anticipates the beat more, so you're kind of stretching it over the beats. And this makes the syncopation longer than the offbeat syncopation. In this example where I bind two 8 notes, so a quarter note, but playing it on the offbeat, it's clear that the sound is longer than the offbeat syncopation. Train this syncopation in the music you're playing. Here I've added it to the blues form. And when you're playing, add the notes that fits the chords of the form. In the beginning, I would really suggest that you play really simple material, for example, only chord notes.
And then we hit the top of the form together, you see.
And what Chick Corea says here with his playing is the anticipated syncopation leads us towards rhythmic displacement. Rhythmic displacement is what Chick Corea does here. He takes a small musical structure that goes over the bar line and moves it around. You remember this earlier example where I'm putting small syncopations, but they're kind of in groupings of 3. This example is really clear because you have the quarter note and the 8th note rest, so you have the 3 8 notes together. In the beginning with rhythm, always keep it simple. And listen to this example. When you fill out all the notes, all the 8 notes, it gets kind of cloudy in there in the sound picture. So when you're using this kind of playing towards syncopation, you can easily get into rhythmic displacement in these small groupings of 3. Let's build out these rhythmic displacement figures a bit. When we're working on rhythmic displacement, we are really working on stability in the groove, or freedom in the groove, that you know where you are always. You want to play rhythmically free over the bars. When you listen to Chick Corea, it seems like he's playing flawlessly over the bars, and it seems like he knows exactly where he is all the time. We want that. So to be able to do this, you need to be able to hear the forms as you are hearing the chord tones or the arpeggios. You need to hear the rhythm. You need to hear where it starts, but also where it ends. So try out this arpeggio exercise. This arpeggio exercise concentrates on playing 9th arpeggios, but I put them in groupings of 6. 2 times 3. Practicing these groupings of 6 makes you able to hear where they fall in the beat when you're moving over the bar lines. And this is really the point. Find out where each group is starting, where it's ending, and where you begin the next grouping in the 4/4 bar. And as soon as you get a chance to it, start adding the rhythmical exercises into your music. This is the first 4 bars of a blues. Now, I'm not a fan of putting long phrases, copy-pasting them into your music. The groupings of 6 and 8 notes are kind of a long phrase to copy-paste into your playing. So let's try this to get more flexibility. Groupings of 3 makes you able to move more, but of course you have to also play more groupings. When you have these short groupings of 3, they're much easier to place in the bar and move around in the bar, up or down. You see that I insert the groupings of 3 in bar 2 and 3, and then I have a little part of 8 notes, just normal regular 8 notes, and then I'm adding a couple of groupings of 3 in the 4th bar. When you're playing these groupings, it can very easily become a static sound, so just moving down the scale, beepity beepity beepity. Try becoming flexible in this. Try to move it around, spice up the rhythm. Don't sound like you're copy-pasting licks. When you're exercising these groupings of 3, start mixing up the tone, start mixing up the direction of where you are, start mixing up 16 notes and triplets into the playing. In this quite extreme line, you see that I'm adding 16 notes, I'm adding triplets, I'm adding groupings of 6, but it's all a subdivision of groupings of 3. When you're getting into this, you really need a super keen ear, hearing the rhythm, but also hearing the form, also hearing where the chords are changing. In the lesson manual PDF on Patreon, I've made lots of these exercises and lots of etudes over the blues form. Go and grab them and play these amazing syncopation and rhythmic displacements over the bar lines. You get a much stronger timing and a much freer rhythm when you're playing this. Get the lesson manual PDF on Patreon and take steps towards rhythmical freedom. If you dig rhythm as much as I do, I totally invite you to check out this video where I'm digging into Chris Potter's amazing rhythm and rhythmic displacements. Rhythmic concepts. Play music, have fun.